Hello and welcome to a live Golfers Ramblings. I'm GMAC Golf, and in the room already we've got Golf Nuts and Tom.
Evening.
So first of all, guys, Merry Christmas. This is obviously going to be the last one for Christmas. Are you all ready?
Surprisingly, this year, yes.
Really?
Well
Yeah, did all my shopping, finished it off yesterday.
Oh,
fair play. What about you, Lee?
Tomorrow for me.
Tomorrow, Christmas
I've
Eve.
done it since I was, probably 17, 18. I went shopping on Christmas Eve every year.
See, me and my dad used to do Christmas Eve, but the last few years I'm like, nah, I need to get it sorted. Can't do it, mate. Can't do it anymore.
I say I'm done. I still have to bribe the wife with probably alcohol and a Chinese takeaway tonight for wrapping them.
Yeah. Fair play.
But I've purchased it.
That's it. You've done the hard bit, mate. You've had to face the shops and the stress.
To be fair, it doesn't bother me about the wrapping side of things because I'd either give it to them as is or just a hash attempt from my own wrapping. But the wife takes pride in that, and it reflects on her if I can't do it. So she ends up doing it.
Yeah, fair one.
Fair play.
So we've got Yellow Ellies in the house. Evening, Yellow Ellies, and Fergs from Mason and crew. Evening, boys and girls. So then, let's talk about it straight off the bat. Charlie Woods, Tiger Woods, PNC. Was there too much coverage of them?
On social media, absolutely. The one thing that got me was it was a case of if you went onto Twitter or Instagram, there was nobody else on there. There was no JT with his dad. There was no little John Daly and John Daly.
JT and his dad won it, didn't they? They went on to
100%.
win it. You know, so.
But there was none of them on there so it kind of like it gave me the impression that Tiger and Charlie were the only two playing it.
Yeah.
But when you watched the coverage, it wasn't half as bad. It was great coverage.
See, I didn't watch any of the coverage. I've not watched it on the telly. All I've seen is what's been on my Twitter feeds, my Instagram feeds, you know. But let's look back a few years ago when Little John and Big John first did the PNC. There was just as much coverage.
It's true.
There's just as much coverage. But I think Tiger did a really good job.
Yeah.
In the sense of protecting him from the media side of things and the questioning. I think he did a really, really good job there. Because I think one of the questions was asked of Tiger is, you had Jack's record on your bedroom wall when you were a junior. What's on Charlie's bedroom wall? And Tiger was like, I'm not answering it. I'm not telling you what's in my son's bedroom. Which is, you know, as a dad myself, I fully get where he's coming from. I think the reporter could have worded the question a lot better. Fergs, what's your opinion on it all?
On the Tiger,
the Tiger and Charlie media coverage.
It's difficult, mate. It's difficult because no matter how hard you try, it's never not going to happen, is it?
Exactly.
The only way Tiger protects him from it is not playing with him in it.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely agree. But I think Charlie wanted to play, and obviously, look.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, if you look at some of the videos as well, that boy has got an amazing swing.
Oh, all day long.
He's a decent golfer.
Technically so good. Really, really good speed. And then I think as him, is he always going to be compared to Tiger? Is that going to be the comparison?
You'd like to think not, but the chances of it are very slim, and it's always going to be compared to his dad.
I think
it depends if he makes it as well, because if he does make it and he's competing, he'll obviously start to be compared against the boys he's competing against.
Yeah,
more so than his old man.
Yeah.
If he is doing well, listen, the odds on him making it on tour are probably quite slim anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's I think success rate. It's one of the hardest sports to be a competitive professional in.
Yeah, 100%, mate.
To be fair, so go on. I was just going to say, if he goes down that route and he succeeds, fair play to him. But he's always going to be in his dad's sort of shadow, isn't he?
I think it also comes down to, does the boy want to do it for a living? At the minute, he's just enjoying the game with his dad, like all of us have probably done at some point now in life.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
all enjoy playing golf with our dad. It just happens to be that his dad was the world number one for God knows how many years, and he's one of the most iconic characters in golf.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Because I remember an interview with Tiger a number of years ago. Charlie was only a boy, like real young. And as far as Charlie was, his dad was just a computer game, because it was when Tiger wasn't competing.
Yeah.
He'd never seen his dad play golf. All he'd seen is this computer game with his dad on the front cover.
Mm.
So it's a real strange one, isn't it? Because he's not really seen his dad at his peak.
Yeah, I think the first time the world got to see Charlie as well was really when Tiger won the Masters again.
When he won the Masters. Yeah.
Until then, he was always known as Tiger has a son, but that's it.
I think I remember watching the Masters that time, and they were saying that it's the first time Charlie's seen his dad win a major event. And when you're sitting there watching it going, God, I've watched him win loads. I mean, you really think it puts it into perspective how old Charlie really is.
Yeah, I mean, what is he?
Only 11.
11 years old. He's not very old, is he?
He can play though, can't he?
Oh, he can really get the ball round. Absolutely.
5 wood on the par 5 to stick it to, what was it?
Yeah.
4 to 6 foot for an eagle.
Hell of an eagle that was.
But did you see the shot where he's hit a slinging hook round the corner?
Yeah,
that was it.
That was it.
Is that the one? Is it?
Yeah.
It's just.
It was interesting because he played with Justin Thomas and his dad.
Yeah.
That's his coach, isn't it? Justin Thomas's dad. The only two people to coach him is Tiger and Justin Thomas's dad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I was about to say that, Fergs. Controversially, I know a lot of people were talking on social media more or less that he's got Tiger's mannerisms down to a T. His golf swing and body movement is Justin Thomas all day long.
Yeah.
I think,
especially his left foot with a driver, because his left foot leaves the ground with his driver and points forward after he's hit it. It's mega Justin Thomas like, and I love
very much so.
I love the fact that he hits it as hard as he can as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's, if you look at junior golfers across the world now, I think that's the route they're going down, isn't it? Hit it as hard as you can, get it as close to the green as possible, and then work the rest out when you get to it.
Yeah.
Who was I watching the other day, and they were saying about the juniors just hitting it as far as you can, but as long as you've got a wedge in your hand,
you're fine.
And that's their new principle. Where our day principle was find the fairway, find the green, find the fairway, find the green.
Yeah, that's definitely it now. Most coaches these days will, if they get a child young enough, they will just say hit it as hard as you can all the time. And what they then work on is they can make the finesse afterwards. They can get them to hit the ball more straight or have a shot shape that they work with. It's just about, as long as you're swinging it as hard as you can, they can then work from there.
Yeah, the rest of it's the easy bit, isn't it? They say the easy bit's getting them to straighten up. It's the 100, it's getting them to.
It's getting
110, 112, 118, 20 mile an hour swing is the difficult bit.
That's the hard bit, isn't it? Which is why they started teaching them from a young age now.
Yeah.
So I think a few people have said that they thought he was arrogant.
Who?
Charlie.
Well, they're idiots. Give me one sec.
He's an 11-year-old boy playing with some of the best golfers in the world with his dad and Justin Thomas.
Yeah. For me,
he was having fun and he was getting a little bit of coverage. Of course, he's going to get confidence. To be honest, I think the big one was when he stuck the draw hole in the bunker with Thomas's ball. That was quality.
Yeah, and for me, I think there'd have been a different demeanour if he wasn't playing with people he knew. I don't think because he was quite full of himself, but he was comfortable, he was confident because he was playing with his dad, he was playing with a mate and his coach. Because ultimately, whether it's Justin Thomas or not, he'd arguably be a mate or Uncle Justin. They're people that he knows, they're people he's comfortable with. So you'll see an air of confidence around him. I think it's been misinterpreted as arrogance. For
me, that would be the same as if you, GMAC, were playing in a club medal against 3 club members that you've never met before, to if you were playing with Lee.
Absolutely, mate. They're 2 different people. They're 2 different people. They just are, and it's the same with anyone. You play with people you know, you come out with yourself. You're more confident. When you play with people.
Sorry, mate.
No,
the other thing is he's Tiger Woods' son. Like, he can play, so why shouldn't he be confident?
Exactly.
He can play.
The boy can get it round.
He's learning from the best. Tiger's probably, how confident was Tiger? Like super, like ultra confident. And listen,
Absolutely.
if you're going to listen to somebody when it comes to golf, listen to Tiger Woods. He's a chip off the old block. And listen, who can blame the boy for being confident? There's a difference between arrogant and confidence. You watch
100%.
any elite sportsman, they're all got oodles of fucking confidence. Arrogance is a different thing, and it's easy to kind of get the two mixed up.
No, I fully agree with you, mate. I fully agree with you.
I'm going to be the one that like sits on the fence.
It's not like you, mate.
Just shut up, you. If you were to compare that to a normal 11-year-old person playing golf, you wouldn't see the same thing from an 11-year-old.
Would you not? I completely disagree, mate. Because I was that 11-year-old playing with my dad's mates, my next door neighbour, and I was that confident, cocky kid because they're people I know. Whereas you flip it and then put me with an 11-year-old kid with 3 adults that I don't know, completely different. Completely different.
I think because you didn't get to talk to him as much directly. I think that's just like he's probably used to that media circus in terms of golf. Yeah, maybe not while playing, but he's watched his father enough times now to know that's just part of what can be golf at that level.
And you learn from your parents. And Tiger's the ultimate kind of confidence golfer. He's probably the best ever played the game. So if your old man's, if you are a kind of a little stamp your old man, and this kid Charlie has, played probably 99% of his golf with the best golfer who's ever picked up a golf club.
Exactly. So you're just gonna lose confidence.
Yeah,
but in the same vein, I think Tiger's done a great job of keeping him away from the interviews and away from that side of the media, because I think if he had have been interviewed, I don't think you'd have seen the same kid, if that makes sense.
You can't interview him. You can't interview the lad. He's 11 years old.
I agree. I completely agree.
It's nonsense, isn't it?
Yeah, and then obviously Tiger did a great job of keeping him away from it.
I like little John Daly. He's the coolest, isn't he?
John Daly is absolutely. He's literally a chip off the old block. Literally a chip off the old block.
Now that's somebody I would say if anybody was to have an air of arrogance around him, is little John Daly, because it's like boom.
Yeah. And
because in all fairness, he hits it further than most men. He plays better golf than most men.
Yeah.
But
he's a bit older. I mean, how old is he? He's in his teens now, isn't he?
I don't know, but I don't really think he can join the junior league anymore.
No, I think he's a colt, isn't he? I think he's definitely a colt.
Poulter's boys play, don't they, as well?
No, Poulter's boys play, and I was watching an Instagram live or something with Poulter, and someone asked him the question, why are you and Luke not playing? Because Luke's a really good golfer.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
But Poulter's not won a major, so he can't play in it.
Ah, that's what that is.
Yeah, it's majors and US Opens and stuff like that. So because he's not won, he can't play in it, mate. Otherwise, I think, to be fair, they've got a decent chance because Luke's a real good golfer.
Yeah, I think he's playing. Is he college golf?
Not quite. He's not quite college golf. Just turned 16. Just turned 16,
yeah,
I think.
I think he's like state golf though. Something.
Yeah,
like
he's playing state golf. He's playing some really good golf. He puts a lot of his stuff on. Obviously, Poulter puts a lot of his stuff on Instagram.
Yeah,
so, yeah, he's real good.
Poulter's live Instagrams are brilliant.
They're really good. They are really good.
But both his boys can play, can't they? And it's a shame that they can't enter, actually, because I think they'd be a competitive pair in there.
I definitely. I mean, I don't know what the winning score was, but I've seen that Tiger and Charlie were 20 under. I
think it was 25, wasn't it?
I don't know, mate. That's what I mean. I don't know, but 20 under and they didn't win. Because that's some serious golfing. Some serious golf.
Yeah, it is. With an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, like Lee says, if you looked at the social media, you would have thought Tiger and Charlie walked it.
That's the only thing for me. I think that the socials compared to the event were two very different things.
Yeah, as I say, I didn't watch any of the televised footage. I only seen the clips on Instagram and Twitter and whatnot. I didn't watch the golf. Do you know what? I've not watched any golf for a little while. I think the last golf I watched was probably the Masters. I'm not going to lie.
But the thing is, whenever Tiger tees it up, he's the main event.
Of course he is. And do you know what?
That shouldn't be the case. It should only be the case if he's leading.
He is, though. He is.
That was the worst thing before he got the big back injury and he was out for a period of time. If he was dead last, you saw every golf shot.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
And that was the biggest problem I think a lot of amateurs had in the world of golf with Tiger not taking anything away from Tiger. Tiger's awesome in terms of what he has achieved, what he's given to the game, what he continues to give to the game. But if he's not winning or in the top 10, I don't want to see it.
Yeah, I think that's where he gets a lot of his negative supporters from, if you like. The people that don't like him is because, well, I'm watching him all the time and he's playing crap.
That's not his fault.
No, it's not his fault. It 100% isn't his fault.
It's like watching Liverpool every week, every time they play live. It's what makes people tune in, and people want to watch Tiger Woods.
Do you know what? He's always going to be the number one pull, and he
he's
just
the draw,
is.
Isn't he? He's the draw.
Of course he is. He's the reason people. Let's be honest. He's the reason a lot of people got into golf, 100%. Started playing golf, started watching golf.
Changed the game.
100%. You know,
changed how we dress, changed how we play, changed the type of people that play the game. It's ridiculous what he did to the game. Probably more than anybody else.
All I'm saying is Nick Faldo changed it for me with Pringle stripes and baggy pants. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but you should put them away now because baggy pants are nothing.
Yeah, to be fair, Lee, let's leave them in the early 90s. To be fair,
you think you'd have evolved by now, pal?
Yeah,
to be fair.
For me, it was Garcia though, because I know obviously he came out about the same time as Tiger, but obviously Tiger was United States. Garcia was more Europe.
Obviously the same sort of time. They both come out at the same time, and initially Sergio was like he was the next big thing. Like he was going to be amazing. Then he sort of dipped, fell off the planet a little bit, and then shot back to greatness. Whereas Tiger just went like that. He just got better and better and better.
I think if you could play in your Spanish, you're the next Seve, aren't you?
That's it. You're always going to be compared to Seve. It's like John Ram in the Masters having his chipping lesson with
Ole.
And it was like, it's Seve's birthday. You know, it's an omen, a Spanish. It's just like it ain't. It's just Seve's birthday. It just happened to fall on Seve's birthday weekend. It ain't an omen. He's Spanish, yeah, but that don't mean shit.
I don't really know who got me into it, really. I can't. I remember watching. I tell you what I loved to watch when I was a kid with Paul Azinger because of his outfits, the NFL outfits.
I can't even recall a round of golf watching.
Do you mean Payne Stewart?
Payne Stewart.
Payne Stewart.
Azinger. I loved watching Payne Stewart and I loved Freddie Couples.
Oof. Yeah, Freddie Couples, absolutely balls. But you're a little bit older, Fergs. For me, you're a bit older, mate. You're a little bit older, aren't you? See, for me, I always remember I remember the first time I watched golf properly was the '96 Masters with Norman and Faldo, where Norman just absolutely bottled it on the last day. But that was for me was the one.
I was a little bit earlier than you. I remember a bit of Woozy. Obviously, Woozy, the Welshman winning the Masters was a big deal. But we all used to try and copy Freddie Couples' swing. But none of us could.
Did you see the thing on YouTube recently? Can you hear me, by the way? I'm not sure.
We can hear you, Stu. Yeah.
We can't see you.
Yes, I
can't see him.
Can you not?
Yeah,
he can. It's just Fergs. He can.
It's just Fergs, mate. We can see you.
Yeah, I saw somebody sent me a video of like a YouTube link to, I think it was Freddie's last tournament, maybe, and they put some bark to it or something. Oh my God, his swing is just unbelievable. Even now, he's still bombing it 300 yards, and he's just so smooth.
Remember his driver, the Lynx Boom Boom.
Lynx Boom Boom.
Yeah.
Lynx Boom Boom, and he had Lynx Parallax irons.
Yeah.
The chap that got me into golf had them.
How many majors did Couples win?
What was that?
How many did he win? Couples 2?
Just the Masters, wasn't it? One.
I'm going to say, I think it was only the Masters, which is why he keeps going back.
And even then, he should have been in the water, shouldn't he? On 12, whichever.
I can't remember it. I can remember Woozy's the first one with the punch, as it went in.
Amazing, that was, But it's funny because I was researching a thing for Sam Pierre the other day, and I ended up watching an hour of the last round of an Epsom Grand Prix that was at the Sam Pierre, and it was who was on it? It was Woosnam, Seve, and Mark Mouland. You know Mark Mouland?
Yeah. No.
And it was weird. I mean, they just hit it nowhere up to there. I know everybody's there saying, "Oh, it's very little difference," blah blah blah, but. I mean, Woozy, they were hitting drivers. I mean, they were hitting drivers into what's now the 18th. I don't know whether you play San Pierre, guys, but
par 3.
It's a par 3. It's like about 4-iron, and they were hitting drivers at that, and I was like, my God.
Yeah.
That is and they were all missing the green, spraying it everywhere.
It's amazing how much things have changed, haven't it? Since like technology-wise, since the Woozy eras and the Faldo eras, huge amounts changed. And I think the biggest, we talk about metal woods and so on. I think the biggest change is the ball.
Yeah, the ball's pretty shafts. Yeah, and I think as well the ball's so much. The thing I notice more than anything, because I think it's like watching your kids grow up, the way the technology's kind of developed. You don't even see it happening. But as far as the ball's concerned, I really remember you would only get maybe 4 holes with a golf ball. If you went in a bunker, it's completely gone. Yeah. Like, absolutely waste of time. But now you just play rounds and rounds with them. And I kind of get a ball out and think, I should play with a new one. But it's like absolutely immaculate still.
That's
you used to tap the balata on your tooth, and you'd be like, balata.
Oh, yeah, you could stick it. I mean, I used to mark mine. Yeah, I used to mark mine before a round by sticking my nail in it.
Sticking your finger in it. I used to have Titleist Titleist professional 90s, and I used to put an X with my thumbnail on the arm.
Yeah, that's it.
Because they were
and a
I'm obviously
decent
too young
night,
for all this chat then.
you would totally make a smile in the ball. It was to go straight to the cover.
The way you were, Stu, you probably could.
If you think that you got a smiley face, if you hit a tree, it was like that. I need to change that ball.
It was an egg.
Yeah,
it's the same now. All my balls got these little yellow marks in where they're smashing around in the wood.
Yeah, the difference is now though, Fergus, when it hits a tree, it's still round.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, it's incredible. But I mean, I think you're right. I think the ball is a huge one. I think as far as technology goes, I think the range finders, they're incredible. Obviously, like when was the last time you paced to a 150 yarder or you eyeballed like a 140 yard shot? It just doesn't happen.
Lee eyeballs everything. But talking about pacing, if I'm walking to my ball and I'll see the disc in the middle, I'll still pace it in my head, get to the ball, and still get the rangefinder out.
Honestly, you look at it and you think, I was 5 yards out or 3 yards out. Ultimately, we're just not that accurate. It's like if you get in the middle of the green, you're laughing. But
here's a question about
rangefinders. It's just that peace of mind,
Here's a question about rangefinders, boys. Do you think it should be allowed on tour to speed up play?
Yeah, totally.
It wouldn't speed up play.
It wouldn't.
Don't you think?
No, they would still spend 2 minutes over every shot. Look at Bryson. He doesn't care about the yardage. He gets that number and then goes, but the wind is coming in from the right to left, and it's only
it takes them 2 minutes to get the number sometimes.
Yeah, and I think the place, you only want 3 people out on the course that hit it sideways, which they all do. We don't see them on TV, but they're, and caddies are trying to pace from yardages which they've not put in their book. Yeah. And that slows the whole course up. I mean, that slows the 3 groups that were watching at the end,
I think there's a valid case for it that
you need to get rid of putting books.
They already have. They've banned them, haven't they? They've banned the green reading books.
They were definitely banned at Augusta, but I don't think they were banned. They're not banned absolutely everywhere, are they? I think they're still allowed occasionally.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they've taken off some of them.
The thing with the rangefinders, though, what worries me most, they'll still pace it out to double check.
Oh, that's just ridiculous.
There'll be certain ones that will.
Remember Bernard Langer? There's the old story where Bernard Langer, his caddy walked all the way up to the sprinkler to get the yardage, came back and said, right, Bern, it's 132 meters. Is that from the front of the sprinkler or the back?
Yeah.
I heard another one. It was, what's the caddy's name? Yorkshire caddy.
Oh, Sevies.
Yeah. Billy Foster. Billy Foster.
Foster.
He was caddying for someone in one of the Ryder Cups. Langer's come out. It's when Langer was captain, so it must have been Westwood. That he was, and when he's come out, he's gone the yardage. He goes, "Is that inches?" He's, "How many inches are you out?" He's like, "What?" Because how many inches are you out? It's like this. And that's why he's still winning on the peak. That's why he's still winning on the seniors tour.
Because he's so good.
He's so meticulous. Meticulous.
I think it's a mental state, especially with him. Some people are more artistic with their shots, and ultimately it doesn't make any difference when we're talking about a gust of air or a bad bounce or a soft part of the green. You cannot be that accurate. But I think it's just that kind of German sense of everything has to be on point. I'm going to guess that Sebi wouldn't have been quite the same when we're talking about Spaniards. You know, he'd been thinking of not an exact distance with his iron. He'd be thinking about feeling it in and, working it in.
Go, boys. Dinner's ready.
Take care, mate. Thanks for coming on, Fergs.
In a bit.
See you again. Again, listening to some of the stuff that Billy Foster said, Sevi was your typical Spaniard. He was a fiery Spaniard, and they argued a hell of a lot. But, you know, he was a legend, wasn't he? Let's be fair. He was an absolute legend.
I think pros. Go on, Stu.
And I think that the difference, what a lot of people, I mean, it makes me sound old, but the people of today is the fact that he was doing things that in Europe and in world golf that we can't even believe. Like, we just think that you get on the European tour, then you play on some majors, and then you play on the American tour, and then you win. You know, and that's the way it goes. But back in those days, I mean, they didn't really travel that much. I mean, planes were, to see Sevi in somewhere like Wales, even from Spain, was like, God, that's amazing. But then,
that's it,
you know, 2 minutes later, he's an American beating the Americans, you know, which is like unheard of. Spain after America, you know.
Absolutely. Just
having that belief to know you can do it, you know.
He had some amazing confidence, but again, he learned the game completely different, you know. He got a 3-iron on the beach. How unorthodox is that? He taught himself bunker shots with a 3-iron. Like, how many people can do that?
I thought in Twitter, amazing, or this community, let's just say, rather than Twitter, but somebody put a picture up or a video up of when he played that shot against Johnny Miller back in like 76 or something between the two bunkers. And I was like, oh, it was an amazing shot. I mean, I wasn't really like following golf then. I guess I was 5 or something. And, but I remember it later on, people saying, and I watched it and obviously was inspired by that kind of stuff from Sevi anyway. And then one of the guys on there, and I forgot his name, said, I was stood right behind him. I stood right behind him playing that shot at that time. It's like, oh my God, that is amazing. Can you imagine that? It's like,
it is crazy. It is crazy. But yeah, here's one. And since you're on, Stu and Lee, I'm gonna ask this. I watched the video earlier, and it's just got me thinking about, and it's coming off the topic of pros and whatnot. It's about amateurs and giving tips and teaching and doing teaching videos on YouTube. Should they be doing it or not?
Well, I think you've got to have something behind that, don't you? You've got to say, like, does the amateur know what he's doing? Like, if an amateur went for a lesson with Butch Harmon, and they went through a particular aspect of his setup or his game, he could tell anybody that because he's been told, he knows exactly what he's been told. I think the time where it gets a bit smoky, and that is when an amateur who's never really coached is doing swing diagnostics, you know, and they're looking at people and saying you should do this or do that. In fairness, that doesn't really happen on YouTube. But, you know, if an amateur comes up and says, like, this is the basics, this is the fundamentals, or I've tried this, or I've tried that, or I do this and do that, that's absolutely fine because you can watch it like we all do and think, yeah, that's going to be good for my swing or whatever you take from it. But at least they know, as opposed to I wouldn't really want to see an amateur. Like, I don't really like seeing amateur coaching amateurs because they're both like, you know, like the blind leading the blind, you know. And so you can do a lot of destructive work for someone if there's something fundamentally wrong and they diagnose it incorrectly. But putting up something that you know, you could have even read it from Golf Monthly, or if people read magazines these days, you know, at least it's factual, you know.
But I think you have to credit the source you got it from at the same time. But the only downside to it is everybody has a fault, which is all unique to them as an individual. One fault is not going to fix the issue.
I mean, the reason I'm bringing this, I was obviously I'll put in, you know, never 3-putt again videos and whatnot, but that's not me giving tips. What I'm doing at that point is I'm saying this is what I'm doing and it works for me. Try it.
I watched that the other day, Graham, and I had 5 3-putts, mate. So thanks for that.
That's because you're garbage, first, mate. It's nothing to do with my tips, mate. You're garbage. And I agree with Paul Jackson's comment as well, mate. You put a comment earlier. Where is it? Let me read it out to you because 100%. I always thought Fergs was arrogant, but then he met you the same time as me, and you're not arrogant. You're just a twat.
Who?
You.
Who put that?
Paul Jackson.
I'm texting the asshole now.
But yeah, that's. But what I'm seeing is some guys are going out saying, "Oh, this is how you should be chipping. You know, don't use this. Use this instead. This is what you must do in these conditions." I'm thinking,
in fairness, I haven't seen many of those, Graham. I mean, maybe there's loads out there, maybe I don't get recommended them, but generally speaking, most people are like, "Well, I've found this works or that works." You think, okay, fair enough. You know, because I think everybody can learn from everybody. Like Lee just said, like, to be honest with you, the sort of scale of YouTube is so vast that if you mention that, you know, you've got a weak left grip and you're slicing it, you know, there's so many people that would help. You know, but obviously there's loads that it wouldn't. I think the sort of people that will go on and try and take everything and put it in their swing, I think they're a little bit sort of screw loose anyway, you know, or very new to the game. Most people know, don't they?
Imagine the swing of that if somebody literally listened to every tip on all my days.
They're not tips though. This is what we had.
I've seen a Chinese picture, a guy of a Chinese guy who actually does that. You see that bloke who takes ages to hit the shot.
Yeah. But this is the thing as well, isn't it? So you'll see a video, cure my slice, and you'll watch it and you'll think, it's not going to work for me because that's not my flaw. But someone who's not necessarily clued up on their swing will go out and try it and think, well, this ain't work, so that must be wrong. But it's not the wrong information. It's the wrong information for them.
I think I've said it before on a live or somewhere like that. It's a slice is caused for more than one reason.
Exactly. I just use that because that tends to be the most common one with a driver.
But ultimately, it's because of one result, which is the face to path is open. But it's why that's happened, and that's where the minefield starts.
Yeah, you can't diagnose that from social media or a video. You need to have the person in front of you to understand why that they are presenting the club face that way.
I think there are fundamentals that everybody can use, though. I think the grip, like you say, I think setup is quite important. I think going through routine is important. Grip, all that kind of thing, I think is quite important. But I changed my grip from a strong right hand to a more neutral right hand. But then other things begin to happen. It's all very well these guys on YouTube going, yeah, you need to get this is that. Let's say you grip it, but I've been gripping it this way for 20 years. So my path is into out. Now I need to straighten that path up now because my face is now open to that path.
Exactly.
It just leads on to one thing after another.
I would say that you said that it's I've been like this for 20 years. That's kind of a hard one, but generally speaking, if you do make a subtle change to a neutral of anything, you should really allow your body should be then allowed to adjust for that. Because I think, like you said, if we're trying to match up all the time, and you're dead right, if someone's like a mile's closed and they're going to have to close the club face and all that sort of business, you're trying to match that swing up, and they always end up with this kind of weird convoluted swing. But if they did move that back round and trust it and worked with it as far as just hitting golf balls, your body will allow you to start turning better, you know, and everything else would start to slowly match up. I think the 20-year one is a little bit dodgy because it's so ingrained. But for like sort of 80% of people who've only been playing, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, I think if you were to neutralize their grip, they're going to get some weird ball flights. But if they persevered, it'd be surprising how the body kind of
adapts.
But it's the time frame. It's the time frame it takes to adapt. This is the problem with that swing. This is the problem with swing aids as well. They need throwing in a bonfire and setting on fire every one of them.
You're dead against the aids, aren't you, Spurs?
They're horrendous, mate.
Yeah.
I think as well, whatever the tip is that's been executed, is whether it's right.
Yeah, exactly.
First and foremost, if it's wrong, you're teaching somebody wrong
information, and that's where I'm coming from. Reference more. So should amateurs be teaching? Because are they telling you the right technique? Are they showing you the right technique? And you're thinking maybe not. I'd
be controversial and say I think there is a place for amateurs teaching amateurs, as long as they're not getting too specific and they teach core foundation stuff. I've got a few family members that have taken up the game, or friends that have taken up the game, and I've gone to the range with them. And the amount of time you see pitching wedges in the middle of the stance, and so's the driver, and then they can't hit it correctly, and you think, well, that's never going to work, because if we play golf long enough, we know the longer the shaft, the closer it's got to be to the left foot. there's core foundation stuff that an amateur can teach another amateur.
I think there's absolutely a place for amateurs teaching amateurs and so on. I mean, I've given Lee a putting lesson and he's now a putting god, so there's definitely places for it.
Oh my days.
But I think in the comments here, Kevin Carney or Craney, there's so many conflicting information or so much conflicting information, it's confusing. And I think as someone that's new, I'm guessing he's quite new to golf, someone that is new to golf, it can be confusing because you don't know how to process the information. You don't know if you're processing the right information. I mean, all of us on the on here now, we've all played golf for a long time. We're all of a decent level, so we can sort of pick out what suits us as a beginner. And this is whether it's a pro giving the information or an amateur. It's picking out what's suitable for you, I think.
I've got a question. YouTube is particularly deadly because there's so many people are trying to make content when really there's some core fundamentals that if everybody said it'd be a bit boring. So they keep coming up with new things, and I think that does get very confusing, and it's just a product of our own success, our own kind of choice, looking for content. It's very difficult, isn't it? Like how many slice videos are out there, and they're all basically, like Lee said, they're all doing one small fundamental thing, but they never really address that. They always want to get through the video and get a like and a subscribe,
Yeah, that's it,
I've got a question, guys, about these PGA pros. I'm still confused why they're called pros. Like, if you coach kids football, you're not a football professional, are you? So how are they golf pros? But anyway, that's a different debate.
I think that's a good debate, though.
It is.
Why are they golf pros?
It drives me mad the way, like, if one of us went out and played in a tournament, we could win 200 quid, and yet the pro next to us that you beat by a shot could win more, like could win 10 grand, or however much. I just think it's a bit. If you're better, you're better.
On the PGA thing, how often do they kind of refresh their techniques, or do they just get left to learn on the job?
Once you've turned pro, you're down. It's literally down to your own self-education.
Well, that's an absolute nonsense, then.
Yeah. So you could have pros. Yeah. You could have pros that turn pro. Like if you go to your driving range and you've got a pro that's late 40s, early 50s, likelihood is he's probably never refreshed himself. Whereas you've got a young kid. I'll use my mate Luke, for example. He's been a pro since we were a coach, I'll call it, since we were 17, 18. And I promise you, every 2 or 3 years, he's traveling the world to go on courses to expand his knowledge. There's not a lot.
Playing the devil's advocate, and I hate doing this, but I would say that the swing's actually not changed.
No, it hasn't.
But you originally get your PGA book, your manual. Lee would have had it back in the day, and it's pretty much 95%, if not more, the same. Apart from a few speed ideas.
No, sure, but things have changed because how you coach, coaching techniques have developed, teaching techniques develop, how people learn develop. Do
you think how people
the facilities,
learn
so things like TrackMan and how you distinguish between numbers, all that's moved on. What I'm saying is, do these coaching pros, I'm going to call them golf coaches now, do they have to go and do a reassessment every 2 years or every 5 years? Or I
mean, ultimately, the answer to the question is always the same, isn't it? Regardless of whether you're Matt Wolf, Jim Furyk, Stu, Graham, me. How do I get that club back to impact as square as possible? Hang on, I haven't finished yet. Not bad.
Yes.
So ultimately, the pro coach, whatever it might be, you can have any swing you want. I think the idea is, as long as you can get that club face back to that ball square at impact, as long as you can teach that and get that club back there, what's the issue?
I think it's a bigger picture, bigger thing than that, though, because
I think that's where amateurs make the game more harder than it actually is. Personally, I would agree with Lee, spot on. It's the shoebox 6 inches behind the ball, 6 inches in front of it. If the club head is going away square and coming through square, the ball will go inevitably where you want it to. A good coach will be able to take anyone's swing and get them to do that. That's all they're looking for them to do.
Yeah.
And to Stu's point, he's right. The swing hasn't changed. It's just, that's why coaching pros don't really have to change their mentality. If they find a way that coaches for them to work, that's what they'll stick with.
I think the PGA give you just enough to get those basic concepts. But I mean, most people, if they are using TrackMan, I mean, they do courses on TrackMan, obviously, to get the good, again, like ideas of swing planes, path spins. So they do kind of do refresher courses if they can be asked. Which is
I think the golf swing has changed, though, boys. I think the golf swing has changed. Yeah.
No.
Of course it ain't.
No, I just think there's more tools out there for them to teach us to get a different way of getting the same result.
I think the golf swing has changed. I think there is. Has it changed? It's a difficult one to kind of put into words, but I think if you look at, it's a difficult one. I think the swings, because of what's important now with distance, I think speed has got up. I think how they control the face. Jack Nicklaus hit the ball
when he was at his prime. He hit the ball just as hard as some of the guys do now.
Yeah, maybe,
it's just the equipment and the balls have developed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just physics.
What about
nothing changed as far as that?
Would you go to one of these guys who've done the European Golf Teaching Federation 1 week course, as opposed to a PGA pro?
You can't ask me. I've never been for a lesson. I've only ever been taught by my old man, and I coach my own swing.
Would that stop you?
If you've seen my swing, you know why I coach my own swing. I wouldn't take that to a pro any day.
I think would you get a lesson off someone that's been on a week-long course? Depends on who it depends on what their credentials are outside that course.
If they're on +9 handicap, for argument's sake, and they've been on this week's course, you're damn right I'm taking information from them.
Yeah, exactly. Like if it's Stu that's been on a week course, you're going to get a lesson.
100% not.
Yeah.
Whereas, for example, if it's, I don't know, I'm not gonna out anyone. For example, let's say someone who plays off 28, they've been on a week-long course. I'm not saying their knowledge isn't sound. 100%, that's not what I'm saying. But they've been on a week-long course. They play off 28. Are you going to get a lesson off them?
They might produce tips that actually help me.
They
absolutely willing to listen.
Absolutely could.
There's quite studious people, though, isn't there? I think going on that week-long course shows that you're intent, you're keen, you want to learn about it. And I do think that some people have got a really good eye, and they would know far more than I would know because they just absolutely bookwormed everything, And so I think that there's going to be people out there that are just absolutely on the case, but can't really play very well. And
let me flip it on its head a little bit. I'm a big lad. I'm out of shape. If you wanted to get fit, if you wanted a diet and a fitness plan, would you come to me?
Yeah, because I know you've got previous experience in it.
It's different, though, mate. It's not the same thing.
It's not. How is it? Explain to me how it's different.
Because I'm not coming to you. Because golf is a technique.
Okay.
Whereas that's a lifestyle choice, right? So golf is about, and this is what worries me about you boys saying that if somebody's off +9, that you go to them. And I always refer back to this, and I always will, right? I'll always refer back to football coaches, Klopp, Wenger, Mourinho, even, these boys weren't winning World Cups and Champions Leagues and European Cups, but they were a student of the game.
But they're not teaching. They're not teaching techniques. They've got boys under them that teach the techniques to their players.
But they are teaching. They are teaching people about how to get through a game of football. It's exactly the same as how to get running around a golf.
Well, see, this is the reason why I said a +9. So, I mean, no disrespect to anybody if they are a 28 handicapper and have got a coaching qualification.
They should just try harder.
Your dad's got a coaching qualification, hasn't he, or had?
Yeah, he did have. But I wouldn't, if I had a +9 and a 28 handicapper together, that +9 would be able to teach me more about course management than a textbook who somebody's able to recite to at 28, for example. That person off +9 would be able to go, right, well, you've made the wrong decision there because of this reason. I don't necessarily think that the 28 may be able to do what the +9 would, which was why I said about if somebody was off +9. Like, I would have no problem at all going to Stu for a golf lesson.
It's a different skill again, Lee, because it's psychology. That's a psychological kind of lesson. That is the golf course man. Not listen, wedge it out instead of 7-iron it out. I'm talking about how to get yourself. Bob Rotella had them all on his books. He wasn't a golfer.
He was a solid. Yeah, I fully agree with Fergs on that point. Course management is something completely different. Completely different.
It was just
psychology and course management. Again, they're a little bit different.
That was just kind of one thing. Just off the top of my head,
course management could probably get players lower scores, regardless of whether they can swing a golf club round or not. They could have the worst technique in the world, but if they know how to get the ball around the golf course.
And that's where I am, Tom. Thank you very much.
It's interesting, actually, because a lot of the guys now are going to kind of body mechanics experts, this biomechanics business, because they want to know more about like what their body can do to perform better, etc., using these motions. And a lot of those guys aren't PGA professionals, they're like body experts,
That's the TPI stuff, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah, TPI stuff's good, yeah.
And Crossfield's done that fit for golf guy, hasn't he? And he has added some distance, any Mark Crossfield.
Yeah, he's
20
doing
yards.
Well, isn't he?
Yeah,
I've not watched any of it. I've just seen a few tweets.
No, it catches my eye once in a while, but I do think that it's kind of like another trick, because Mark's not trying to play golf. I mean, he wants to hit the ball a bit further to have a bit of a laugh and hit it up with, and it's an interesting video concept, but he wouldn't be doing it if he wanted like consistently lower scores, because he's hitting it everywhere at the moment. And hopefully that will level up, but he's not going to get that much better. Let's just say he could play off a 3 handicap now or something. I mean, he's not going to get a +5 because all the rest of his game is pretty shabby,
Yeah.
So I mean, it's fun to watch, but I don't. It sort of leads people down the wrong path a little bit. I mean, I do understand that elite players, you have to have a certain amount of speed and a certain amount of length. Obviously, you do have to, but it's much easier for an amateur who's like a 5 handicapper or worse, let's say, to just try and hit it in the centre of the golf club. I mean, that's easier than whacking a load of weight on in the gym and then hitting it miles offline.
Yeah.
Just trying to hit the golf ball. Like the pros do it because like they hit it out the absolute pure every time. I mean, when you see the picture of the, I think it was Justin Thomas's, driver strike marks, they're just pinpoint in the centre out of 100 balls. You think, okay, I would be frustrated if I was striking it, flushing it that well. You really got to look for something else, haven't you? You've got to think, well, let's try and get it a bit faster then, because I've got this bit dialed down.
They've reached the pinnacle of their swing. That's all their swing will ever give them.
Yeah, that would be frustration. But, I mean, myself, if I can hit, I don't know, like 6 out of 10 drives absolutely pure, I'll be well happy,
I was talking, I can't remember if it was when I was talking to Lee about it, but I remember I seen Paul Broadhurst at the Forest. And at the time, he had remember the TaylorMade Super Quad, which had a black face?
He's a healer, isn't he?
He had, not really a heel, but yeah, his wear mark was just heel side of centre, but it literally wore the paint off, because they find that same spot every time. Their strike is ridiculous.
Well, isn't it Jordan Spieth that works on that? He divides his driver face into 4, and his coach will say, high toe. Bang, right in the centre where it is, and then he'll say bottom heel, centre, and then he'll say, like, after he's done that, he'll say 5 in the middle, and Jordan Spieth will hit 5 in the middle. The dimples will be in exactly the same space and everything within them 5 shots, and you're like,
but that's a great skill, isn't it? And it's a skill that everybody's kind of got, but nobody tries. They go to the driving range, they're trying to hit the middle. And
foot spray, Stu, isn't it? The foot spray helps, mate.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, as well. And just trying to accentuate it. Think, right, I'm going to hit one right out the toe and now one right out the heel with a driver. I mean, it's actually a really good skill to have.
None at all.
Being able to move it is a massive skill, and actually understanding the consequences of when I hit it out with a high toe, this is what the golf ball does, and when I hit it out with a low heel, this is what a golf ball does.
But again, and that's knowing your equipment as well, I think, folks. For example, I've obviously recently changed from the TS3 to the M5. Now, when I was hitting the TS3 high toe, it was okay. I was still losing it right. But when I hit the M5 high toe, it's game over. It's off the planet, right? Because I'm open path, open face,
mate.
Wide open.
You saw me with M5, mate. I just could not get it.
Yeah,
I was just it just knocked my spin. It just high toe with my drop with the M5, just low left. It just the spin just fell off it all the time. It was killing me.
But you've got your path completely different to mine, which is why if you was, I reckon if I had your path, I'd get away with a high toe. Whereas with mine, it's game over, absolutely game over.
Well, didn't the twist face help, mate?
Yeah, the twist. If I was delivering a square face and finding a high toe, yeah, it would 100% help. But the fact that I'm delivering an open face with an open path, finding the curve, getting the club. No, not help at all, mate.
Mate, trust me, I can assure you, and I can assure everybody that's watching, when he does hit one of them, his face does twist because he goes,
yeah, it's like, oh, lost ball. But yeah, so I think, you need to, it's not only knowing where you're hitting the ball, it's knowing how your club is going to affect, or how the ball's going to be affected with the clubs you're hitting.
And what I need to do to my swing to move it.
Yes.
If I do this, what's the effect? If I do that, what's the effect? And honestly, no. And Mark Cross used to say this when I watched him. I don't watch him ever now. But like moving strike is a massive skill, and understanding the consequences of the ball when I hit it on this part of the face. Nobody practices it. I never.
I've had a lesson once before where it was just a skill lesson, and for the whole hour, my coach was like, high draw, low fade, straight. And it literally, for an hour, he was forcing me to hit the shot that he shouted, literally as I was stood at address. So I didn't have a chance to literally necessarily move stance. It was all about face control and where I hit it off the face. And that was for an hour. And he's like, you need to do this more than just come into the driving range and try to work on a position in your golf swing. This is as important as the swing changes that we make. You need to know what it's like to feel how to hit that shot.
Bob Rotella said, if 70% of your practice isn't from 100 yards in, you're not trying to get better at golf. And I love that. I thought that was like, and that's what I do. I'll start with probably 30 wedges, 56, 15, 56, 15, 52, and end with 30 wedges as well.
I think a thing that is often overlooked by everybody who goes to the range, and that is obviously that we never get that flat, perfect lie. And golf is 99% off of a pretty shitty lie.
Yeah. Which is
so when Lee's talking about, changing the conditions that you're hitting the ball at, certainly face control and all those things. I mean, that is everything, because you're in a bad lie, you're on a little tiny slope. That makes a huge difference. And it's being able to adapt. And that is one of the key things that less skilled players will ever look at. So they just want to be able to hit a nice drive off a tee. But it's the kind of carnage that goes from there on after.
For me, that's where course practice, for me, I prefer over
100%.
range, because I'll get from around 120 in and I'll chuck another ball down. I'll think, right, I've got to get up and down from here. And I'll practice those shots. It ain't worked very well at the minute.
I think new golfers is the biggest thing. If you've been playing all your life, I think most of us here, I mean, we've hit every shot in every instance from every lie. You've just, like my friend Matt, who's been playing like about 4 years, he'll often kind of just get over a lie, and I'm like, what you thinking? Because I mean, I would do it quite instinctively, because
just get down and hit it,
But he would just get down and hit it, and the ball goes straight left or straight right, or he fats it, and he'll say, "Oh, I put a bad swing on that." And I'm like, "No, you don't. You just didn't have any concept of how that's lying, the condition that ball's sat on,
Yeah, you didn't put a bad swing on it. You put the wrong swing on it.
Yeah, the ones on the range that you were ripping, that's the swing you just used. You just had a terrible condition,
I did a little vlog on the range, and I was doing things like standing on the carpet with the ball on the mat, so you're an inch or so, teeing it up, so getting the driver tee and putting it on there, and now with an 8-iron with a normal ball flight.
And then they haven't caught on those mats that kind of move about, because I have seen them over the years.
I don't think it's that they ain't caught on, Stu, but they're about 10 grand a mat.
Yeah, but you can do it. You can adapt.
Not a mechanical one, just one that's like, you stood on a bit of a box, or something.
If you think about it, when you buy a putting mat now, you can get the wedges, can't you, that shove it in so you get a bit of break. I don't know why they don't do. All you need is a wedge of wood, stick it under, job done.
Yeah.
There's loads of ways of doing it. You can stand with 1 foot on and 1 foot off.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of ways of doing it. And hitting off the carpet's quite good. I mean, if you chunk it like Lee, it's a problem. But otherwise, you're all right.
I'm not the one with a perfume channel now, pal.
Hey, good channel.
Yeah,
Get over and watch
smart.
It really is.
Trouble is, I've always used the same forever, so it's like, you know, I've got a scent. Do you ever, you know, people with just one scent, Berg?
Yeah. My dad's the same.
Lynx Africa, isn't it?
Pardon?
Minimum of 3, boys.
Lynx Africa, can't go wrong.
Lynx Africa, yeah. It's nearly that time, Tom.
I was going to say I'll have 3 after in a couple of days' time.
Yeah.
Well, maybe 4. The wife's looking at me funny.
I was wondering how you keep an eye on the chat, but I've got it going here now.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Frank, you'll do this one day, pal.
Yeah, you'll get there.
I can't do these live. Nobody wants to listen to what I've got to say, mate.
You'd be surprised, mate. Everyone wants to know how to smell good.
That's true. Only 45 people. Only 45 people after today's vlog.
Oh, is that all you've had? Mind you, it's only been out a couple of hours.
Fine, mate. It's fine. Oh, 50. Get in there, yes.
I'm going to watch that. How long is it, folks?
6 minutes.
6 minutes.
Oh, I can handle that.
This is right up your street. This is you 5 for under 30 quid, mate.
Well, I could get all 5 for 30 quid.
You can. It's more expensive. Golf, I thought it's going to be easy. I could buy more stuff. Actually, it's costing more than the golf channel cost.
Oh, it's even worse. When I saw your last one, you said this is pretty good for 150 quid. I'm like, I need to get that now. I just got to stop watching.
It's expensive, mate. But do you know what? I haven't got a problem with dropping like 70, 80, 100 quid on a bottle of that. But then if it was a new wedge out, I wouldn't go buy that for 100 quid.
Would you go and buy 12 dozen Pro V1s for 50 quid?
Mate, I'm not
question.
Like, to get back into golf, right? The Kirkland signature balls I've been using, I think they're first class.
I've never used them, so I couldn't.
I'm not missing a fairway because I'm using a signature Kirkland, boys. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So why spend all that money?
Yeah, it's true.
But you don't need to go and pull a woman because you're married, so why spend £170 on aftershave?
Well, fair point.
Well, there you go.
Same could be said for women buying makeup after they've gotten married as well.
Yeah, that's just as
done,
expensive. That's crazy money, mate.
What do you think about people like a few? I've seen a few of these things in the past off the YouTube channels. 5 tips, and one of them was always use the same ball. That blows my mind.
What do you mean by use the same ball?
Like always use a Pro V1X or get a ball fitting or.
Yeah, I
would struggle. I'll struggle to if I gave somebody 3 balls that were quite similar. Like I think Chrome Soft and Pro Vs and stuff, there is a big difference there in short game. But you know, if I gave somebody 4 different Titleist, I don't believe that they on a blind test they could tell what it was.
No.
It's not like when you eat a food, you think, no, I don't like onions. That is disgusting. You know, It's not that big a deal. I mean,
that's it. I think if you give, like you say, Stu, if you give someone 4 Titleist balls, possibly not, depending on the level of golf, they're possibly not going to tell. You give someone 4 burgers, they're going to tell the difference.
I don't know. I think there's a little bit of truth to it. If you're using the top brand's premium balls, not so much. But if you're using the ones underneath it and you're chopping and changing between the two, so say you were using a Callaway Super Soft and a Pro V1, that would give you different yardages, different ball flight, different spin rates.
Yeah.
I think that's where that comment comes into it.
I think you sort of need to keep, I think if you've got a price bracket of X, you don't necessarily need to keep the same ball, but stay in the price bracket because all the balls are going to be much the same. Don't go from a Pro V1 to a Top Flight XL because you're going to tell the difference. You're going to feel the difference. You're going to see the difference. Whereas if you're in that Top Flight XL bracket, stay in it. Doesn't matter what ball you're using, stay in it.
Well, what about having like something like a golf ball been a consistent part? So, you know, we all talk about consistency and things like that. Sorry, I just literally thought of that there as I was rocking on my chair. Is it not one of the most constant things we can have in our game?
Of course it is, and I don't change my ball. I stay with the same ball at least for a season. I'll use the same ball.
There. I'm just rocking back in my chair, going,
So you're paying attention to what you're saying, then?
I do keep the same ball. I'm sort of in that camp of keep the same ball to keep it consistent, to keep the same feels.
I rotate between 4, maybe 5 balls in the year, and it's just depending on what I've got in the bag at the time. I don't really stick to one, but I would always say that they are the premium ball.
Yeah. I bounce between TP5 and TP5X, and literally the only time I change is weather. So if
have you used the Vice, boys? Have you tried the Vice balls?
No.
Just about to say the last 3 rounds I've played have been with the Vice Pro Plus, and I will highly recommend it. I don't find any drop off from the I usually do Pro V1s, TaylorMade TP5s, the Vice, Chrome Softs, and I don't see a drop off.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a good. I think it's just so many different factors. I'm thinking now. I reckon I could get round just as well with a range ball. I really do. I think I'll get used to it really quickly in the first few holes, and I don't think it'll make any difference. Really. I mean, for me, it's almost superstition. You know, I think to myself, I always just play with a Pro V1X because I always have. But you know, if I'm out on a golf course and I've got a few balls in the bag, I can hit good shots with those. You know, or if I hit 3 wedges into a green. Whichever ball it is, they're all within, you know, distance-wise, they're all kind of fair. Like one doesn't go about another 30 yards or anything. We might be talking a couple of yards, but then if you put it a bit of human error, and you could say, like Lee said, about keeping something constant, but sometimes you hit a bad swing and slightly fat it, you want it to go a little bit further. And sometimes
you also adapt.
You know what I mean?
You also adapt, Stu. You adapt to soft greens or hard greens. If I'm using,
I do it straight away. Yeah, absolutely.
So you just land it 3 yards shorter, wouldn't you? It would roll out.
Yeah.
Who's going to do that video first then?
I'll carry on. I'll do it anyway. But I don't care who does it.
Funnily enough,
someone's bringing that video out.
Funnily enough, I'm going to the golf course tomorrow.
That's good. Well, I tell you what, they've just got some sort of winter balls because the range is so wet. So they've got these horrendous range balls just got in at Celtic, and they are terrible. They're about sort of 40%. Oh. And I was hitting them the other day thinking, I wonder how much, because that would be like rolling the ball back. I thought if I whip a few of those and take them out, it'd be interesting to see what sort of numbers and how difficult it was, you know.
Do it tomorrow.
Get it filmed. Get it filmed.
Well, I played with Maddie's clubs, and I think I was better than my own.
That's crazy.
I went out last summer, and I just thought it was an exercise. I hadn't tried hitting them before. She's only got a really whippy short 2-wood thing. I think it is a TaylorMade one, but it's not a modern one. And I hit a really ropey one off the first tee that just went sideways. And then I just thought, let's just not swing it quite so hard. And then I found out I've got quite a nice ball flight off it actually, and I felt quite confident by the end. I was looking forward to the next one. And I think you all need to get whippy graphite set. She's got a half set of pings. They're okay, but they're whippy graphite shafts and all set up wrong for me. But it was all right. Just it wasn't that bad.
I suppose it's got to the point where your swing speed's starting to slow down soon as well.
Yeah, bloody right it is, yeah. Honestly, I just can't wait for just 5 more years and I'll be senior. That's it, mate. And then I can just... I'm going to get some of those plastic tees.
She can have yours and you can have hers.
The plastic castle tees.
I want them little tees with it. They've got string holding them together. You know the ones? I'm going to get
rubber ones. The little rubber triangle things.
Yeah, I'm getting those, and I'm getting a towel that hangs off my waist. That'll be a good one as well.
It says Guinness on it.
Yeah, bar match.
Just got this image now of you walking out on the range as Tin Cup when he's got the shanks.
Yeah, all the gear swinging.
Didn't them rubber tees you used to see them most in the pro shops, didn't you?
Yeah.
At Christmas, in the winter when the ground was hard.
That's what they were for. They were winter tees, weren't they?
The shop mats. They wouldn't buy them. They would rather go to the toolbox at home, get a hammer and a screwdriver, bang, 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 put the tee in. They wouldn't even buy the rubber tees.
Do you know what they remind me of? There was a winter pairs competition in Wales called Cock of the North. And where you had groups, it was like Champions Leagues thing, and we always used to play off the mat, so everyone had the castle tees. There was a red one, a blue one, and a yellow one.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
I still get a Christmas stocking every year from my mum, and I tell you now, there is always the fear when I open it to make sure I don't have those rubber tees.
I still
my family have learnt now. if it comes to Christmas or birthdays and it's anything to do with golf, they have to ask me first, what do you want? This is what I want.
I still think there's space for them.
Do you know what? Everybody goes on about how difficult it is, and yeah, I've had some crappy presents like most of my life, like probably you guys, you know, like 10-fold balls and that little blue thing with a sponge in to wash your balls.
Oh!
What on earth is that? I mean, whenever was that a good idea? Anyway, but it's so easy. All they had to do is look at a golf monthly, find a premium set of golf balls. I mean, if somebody gave me 3 Pro Vs, I'd be like made up. Not once in my life has anybody said, "Oh, here's some like premium golf balls," you know.
So it's no worse feeling when you're sitting in the living room with your gran in the room and you open up a Christmas present. You go, "Oh, Pinnacles, thanks." I really appreciate that.
My last year's Secret Santa was 3 Pro V1Xs. First time anyone's done it. I was buzzing.
Great.
You mentioned Penfold. They're back.
They're making a comeback.
They are back, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Lee will be calling them the best golf balls in the world soon, probably.
Hopefully I tried it as well, though, didn't they?
Those gloves that they've made look pretty shoddy.
I've seen the balls. I quite like the new lettering's very Titleist-esque, isn't it? They're like the scrawly handwriting.
It's the whole Seve thing. It caught my eye, and they did the collaboration. I think Javier, his son, put it up, and I was like, I looked at it and I thought, there's no way if Seve was a tournament player now that he wouldn't be using that.
Talking of the Seve collaborations,
I said I'd come on GMAC's channel, babe, to help them out with some subscribers. So
yeah. Talking of Seve collaborations, have you seen the Slazenger jumper that they bought out?
No.
Remember, you obviously had the dark navy V-neck Slazenger sweater.
Oh yeah, I think Andy had it on his channel, didn't he?
Have you seen how much it is? Considering it's a Slazenger sweater.
Is it got the Slazenger thing there?
Is it cashmere?
Yeah.
Well, it's
100 quid.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's lamb's wool.
Oh, I don't know.
150.
70 quid then.
£100.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not adverse to paying £100 for a jumper or a t-shirt or whatever, but it's Slazenger.
GMAC,
I quite like the old school
jumpers. Trust about the Monopoly board with Tom Morris on it.
£785.
Yeah. 795 quid for a Monopoly.
Wow.
Board.
Yeah. Monopoly. It's the old course one, isn't it? Is it the old course?
Well, old course with Tom Morris.
Nearly £1,000. Gold pieces, though, ain't they?
Yeah, and obviously it's a wooden board, so it does look smart, but there's no way it's 800 quid.
Do you know why that is? The reason they've bought that out is for your
Americans
and your Chinese that can't get over and play. So they're like, well, we'll buy that and say we've been, or we've got a little bit of memory there. So
I quite like the old school golf stuff, though. The old like Lyland Scott and Slazenger stuff.
I do.
Yeah,
I wouldn't pay £100. I really like it, but I wouldn't pay £100 for a Slazenger jumper.
Pringle, would you rock an old Nick Faldo Pringle jumper?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do.
But I wouldn't pay £100 for it.
Because Ronnie Barker used to wear. Ronnie Barker, do you remember not Ronnie Barker, Ronnie Corbett, when he used to tell his story on that chair, and he used to wear the old golf jumpers, didn't he?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, he was a golfer, wasn't he?
Wasn't it? That was always
Lyland Scott. I've got a Lyland Scott in there.
Yeah, but he was a golfer, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So.
I think I've got some of my old golf jumpers and things in the loft. And I remember I was cleaning out my old wardrobe at my mum and dad's, and I brought out a Mizuno T-Zoid tank top. And the missus, she stood there and she howled. She went, "What on earth is that?" I went, "This is a bit of class." And then I found a MaxFly Revolution T-shirt.
Wow.
I'm going to have to put them on for a video one day and do a retro.
They won't fit, Lee. They won't fit you, mate. They look like they'd be sprayed on, mate.
Here's a question. The brands that have died out, because I used to have, Monmouthshire Golf Club, Stu?
Yeah.
So I used to go up there for lessons, and I bought a set of Browning irons when I was a kid from my granddad. Bought a set of Browning irons.
Wow.
They've got
MaxFly used to have irons, didn't they?
MaxFly,
yeah.
MaxFly used to make some great golf balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Revolution had been one.
I tell you what else, my first ones were my first golf clubs were not Penfold.
They were that good, you can't remember.
Oh, shit, what were they called, man? Petron Petrol Impalas.
Impalas, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have the woods with the blue bit on the top and the grey roundabout? Yeah.
My first set of clubs was a set of Slazenger Challenge with a Sevi signature on.
Nice. Yeah, they were all blades.
They were metal persimmon woods, so they looked like a persimmon wood, but it was metal.
Yeah,
very weird.
They were Pinseeker blades, and I'm sure they were from Argos.
Great shout. They've gone as well.
Yeah, they've gone.
Yeah.
I'm sure
there's a few that have kind of hung around, haven't they? Like Wilson Staff, they were huge. Those Wilson Staff were with the red dot on the bottom and stuff. They were really big, and then they disappeared, and they're coming back, aren't they?
Where can you go and buy these Staff blades?
Wilson Staff.
Yeah, I can't
find them.
American Golf Stockholm, mate.
Staff blades.
Wilson Staff blades, American Golf Stockholm.
Interesting.
But you
might need to buy them online, but they definitely stock them, and you shouldn't be using blades, mate.
Oh.
No, you're right, mate. I'm getting some of them I'm getting them launcher Cleveland irons. You know them?
All hybrids.
Yeah. the Slazenger Big Easies.
Oh.
They were another golf club. They were another brand. They were copies of the Ping I2. I don't know if you remember. It was EEE number ZZZ.
Yeah, I think there were three E3.
Yeah.
Spalding was another brand, wasn't it?
Spalding, yeah.
I remember they used to make a Tour Edition ball that Greg Norman used to use, and they were the best balls that I remember. They were really good balls.
Owen's just dropped a comment in the comments. Hippo. House and Hippos.
Yeah,
they were an old school one. Woosley was sponsored by House and wasn't he, Hippo?
Yes.
At one point, I'm sure he was.
Towards
the end days. In fact,
what's the most embarrassing golf club you've ever owned, GMAC?
Most embarrassing golf club I've ever owned. I had a set of Callaway copies.
I had a Donny driver.
Never been
Donny Sports driver.
Boys, you have to shoot off, lads.
Enjoy, mate. Take care. Thanks for coming on, Ferg. I'm
going to wrap
it up in a minute.
I've just thought of another brand.
Go on.
Regal.
Yeah, Regal, yeah.
Wild Thing 1 irons.
Yeah. You're on about that thing. I remember my dad bought one. The shaft was blue and red. The grip, honestly, had better traction than a car tyre. The rubber on it was awful, but it was like...
Yeah.
The head must have been about like that thick. And I'm like, yeah, I just thought of Regal then. I'm like,
and it sounded like a biscuit tin when you hit it.
Does any of you boys remember Seal?
The singer?
No, they were one of the golf clubs that was first out there that was custom made. So you bought the head separate to the shafts and obviously.
No.
I used to sell them. Persimmon?
Yeah, I remember Persimmon.
Persimmon.
Because they were some of the first custom fit. I remember in the pro shop I worked in, there was the like grit things. You get all the measurements from yourself.
Yeah.
And it was always they were shocking clubs, but they came with a whole sort of ecosystem of let's get you fit back in those days.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever got done.
Really, I'm gonna say the first set of clubs I can ever remember doing custom fit was Ping. They were the first. Yeah. They were the first ones that I can remember.
I remember getting instructed how to fit somebody off Persimmon, and a lot of it was just club head speed. Because
but Graham, but Ping was just loft and lies, wasn't it?
Yes,
from what I can remember.
Loft and lies from your height to your palm length, which they still do to this day, which is bizarre because I'm 2 degrees upright when I got fitted, so according to Ping's numbers I should be about 6'4".
And what's 2 degrees upright? Is that yellow or something?
Red, I think it was when I looked. But yeah, it's something silly. But yeah, I should be because I'm 2 up and an inch longer, so I should be like 6'4", not 5'11".
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
Very strange. Right then, boys. Thank you all for coming on. Guys, thanks for coming on in the comments. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you have an amazing Christmas. I've got to wrap it up because I've got to go and get my daughter's scooter. Otherwise, I'm going to forget. So, guys, have an amazing Christmas. Thanks for coming on. And I will see you all very soon.
Cheers, all.
Take care. Thank you. Lee, you killed the life.
Yes.